Nice part of town, nice condo complex. If you went inside the unit though, you'd be like, whoa. Welcome back to another episode of Probate Stories. I am Brad with probateresource.com. I'm the founder of probateresource.com. We're a real estate solutions company specializing in the world of probate and inheritance properties. We've also built out probateresource.com to be a all-inclusive resource for people going through the probate process, because there's more to probate than just the legal aspect. So we hope that you find our YouTube channel and our probateresource.com content helpful to you. Today, I want to talk about probate stories. I've done a few of these before where we talk about some crazy stories of some deals we've done. Today, I'm going to talk about the alcoholic. And the alcoholic is a deal that we actually bought late last year in 2023. It was a deal that drug out forever. And basically, the backstory of the deal is back in 2022, in summer of 2022, I was talking to a friend of mine stopped by my house. I kind of look out in my office at my house, and I can kind of look down the road here and almost see his house there. Now that the trees have greened up, I can't quite see it anymore, but lives very close to me. He popped in one day and was chatting with me. He's also one of my contractors, one of my subcontractors does some work for me on some of my projects. Popped in just to say hey. And he was driving by and saw me standing outside, so we pulled in the driveway and we were chatting, and he said, hey, you do the probate thing. I told him what I did, right? And he said, oh, you do the probate thing, with properties and stuff. And I said, yeah. He said, okay, well, let me run some situation by you. He said, hey, my father-in-law, his wife's dad, just passed away a couple weeks ago, and he had a property. He was a hoarder, and he actually passed away in the property, and it was a few days before they found him, so they had a little bit of kind of a hazmat situation, odors and things. And he was kind of a little bit of a recluse. Anyways, they found him about 3 days later, so things kind of smelled. There were some fluids, that sort of thing. I'm not going to gross you guys out, but it's just part of life. They had to clear all that out, and then he was a hoarder. He had this place that was just full of stuff. It was just a little condo and a condo complex. Nice part of town, nice condo complex. If you went inside the unit, though, you'd be like, whoa. I mean, just bugs and dirt and grime. I don't know that this place had ever been cleaned. Like, I don't know that this person owned any cleaning products. I mean, not the worst house I've ever seen, but it was pretty filthy. And I saw it after they had cleared out all the junk. They had already gone to get a junk removal company in there and clean the house out. So they had cleaned out all of this stuff out of the house. And they still had the nasty carpets in there and whatnot, and they were very, very stained, and the place did not smell very good. And, overall, just, the house needed a little bit of TLC. He said, hey, you guys buy as is, right? And I said, yeah. He said, well, can you make an offer to my brother-in-law? His brother-in-law was the executor of the estate and the sole heir of the estate. His sister, I'm not going to get into all the details, but basically his sister was not going to get the house because of one reason or another. Anyways, so I said, sure, no problem. Be happy to take a look at it. So I went and looked at the house, and, I made him a very strong offer. I wasn't making a huge profit on this house. I would have preferred to make a little bit more on the house, but because it was somebody I knew, I said, hey, I can get this done for you, right? Just trust in me and I'll get you to the finish line. And he also said, hey, my brother-in-law doesn't live here, and this was in Georgia where we live. I live in the state of Georgia, and but I buy properties all over the place. But anyways, his brother lived in another state, so I said, no problem. That's not a big deal, right? Let me get it. He's gonna have to. I got some of the details. Hey, he's gonna have to probate this will. He's going to need a probate attorney, so let me get you connected with one of my probate attorneys here locally. I got him connected with her, and she, said, yeah, should be pretty straightforward, pretty easy. There was one issue that they had to get rectified with the will, required some additional steps to take, but ultimately it was all resolved. But anyways, they went ahead and probated, went ahead to start to get the probate process going. And then also I'd spoken to this guy's brother-in-law. I had spoken with him, and then Missy, who works for me. If you call into our office, more than likely you were going to get Missy on the phone during normal business hours. And Missy spoke to him and chatted, and they worked out all the things. We made him a very strong offer. We went and looked at the house. We had assessed our rehab budgets and all that stuff. And so we made him a very strong offer. And in typical fashion, like we do, we'll go ahead and have the potential executor sign a contract, just a purchase and sale agreement. Now, technically speaking, from a legal standpoint, until they're actually awarded their probate letters or letters testamentary, they can't actually legally, no one can legally sign a contract on behalf of the estate. So it's not really necessarily an enforceable contract from a legal standpoint, but it's still an agreement between two parties, right? It's almost like at that point, it's like a handshake agreement between the two parties, right? So that's typically what we do with estates. We'll have them go ahead and sign a purchase and sale agreement. That allows us on our end to go ahead and get the ball rolling with the depending on the state, either the title company or the closing attorney. We were closing this one in Georgia. Georgia's an attorney state, so we're using a closing attorney. So we went ahead and get the ball rolling on that just to make sure we can get any title issues resolved beforehand, because inevitably with these probate deals, there always seems to be title issues. Someone didn't do probate right. Maybe someone died in the past and so we always have to figure something out. So I wanted to go ahead and get the ball rolling on title and get that going, and then we would simultaneously have him do the probate with my probate attorney that I referred him to. So we went that route, and we had he had agreed to an offer on our number and said, hey, he said, that's great. Go ahead and send the contract over and I'll sign it tonight when I get home from work, or whatever he was doing that day. I said, sure, no problem. So we generated a Docusign contract. We do everything electronically through Docusign, sent him the Docusign, didn't sign it. So then we call him back the next day and he says, who are you guys and why are you calling me? I've already accepted an offer from someone else. I'm working with another company and they've gotten me a probate attorney and all these things. And we're like, what the heck? This is when Groundhog Day started, right? If you've ever seen the movie Groundhog Day, this is what we went through. And we're like, well, that sounds like us. Like, what's going on here? So then we reach out and then the probate attorney reaches out to us and is like, hey, I called him yesterday and he acted like he didn't know who I was. And that's so weird because we just talked the day before and I was going to send him all these documents to sign and notarize and whatever. And then now he's acting like he has no idea who I am. This is really weird. And we said, yeah, funny story. Same thing happened to us. So then we just that was the first time. So we passed it off as kind of just strange, right? So then it happens again. Same with the attorney. It happens again. And then now I'm like, what the heck is going on here? This is really weird. And so I reach out to my friend who was the executor's brother-in-law. And I reached out to my friend. I said, what's going on here, man? This is what's happening. Can you talk to your brother-in-law or have your wife, which was his sister, call him or something? And he says, all right, let me kind of tell you what's going on here. So he said, look, so-and-so's been having an alcohol problem, but for a long time. But lately, since his dad passed away, he's really kind of gone down the rabbit hole and just in a very low place. Understandably, right? The death of a loved one. I get it. I mentioned this in another video, but I lost my son, my 6-year-old son, to pediatric brain cancer in February of this year. I understand what that's like to go through and lose a loved one. I get it. It's tough. So anyways, so we said, yeah, I get that. So he said, all right, well, we're trying to get him into rehab, because he's just really gone downhill and he gets to the point where he blacks out and has no idea and can not remember anything because he's so drunk and so blackout drunk, he can't remember anything. And we're like, okay, well, hopefully we get that figured out. So we keep going through this rodeo over and over again. And then he goes to rehab. And then, of course, we finally got him to sign the contract. And then he finally got some of the documents submitted to the petition submitted to the probate court. And then he goes into rehab. And then he needed to get sworn in. And we couldn't get him sworn in at the probate court as the executor because he was at a 6-week inpatient rehab, had no communication with the outside world other than, through his doctor. And his doctor was communicating with his wife. So that was the only communication he had with the outside world during this inpatient rehab thing. So we do that, and then this then just carries out, and it just goes on and on and on for months and months and months and months. Literally took like a year to go through all of these shenanigans. And finally, we get to the end, or what we thought was the end. I get a call from his probate attorney, and because we refer cases to her and she refers stuff back to us all the time. I think that day we had gone to look at another property she had sent us and said, hey, can you go look at this one and make an offer to this estate? Said, yeah, sure, no problem, whatever. So then she calls us back. She's like, oh, giving you an update on so-and-so's estate. We got we're getting the probate letters today. They should be here today. And we said, okay, awesome. So then I've been anticipating this closing. I called my private lender. I fund most of my deals through private investors, private lenders. This particular lender was an old college buddy of mine who's loaned me money on lots and lots of real estate deals. I called him up and I said, hey, this one I told you about, we're ready to close. You can go ahead and wire the money. You just need to send X amount. He already has the wiring instructions to the closing attorney's office. We already have all of our documents we use on a regular basis all ready to go. So I said, cool, pull the trigger, let's go. We should have the letters tomorrow, and we should be able to close here within the next couple days. Because the executor was out of state, he was going to sign with a notary, and then we have to wait for the documents to come back in the mail from the notary before we can close the transaction. So they overnight FedEx the documents back, and as soon as the originals come back, then you can close the transaction on that day. We do that all the time, actually, where you don't have to come to wherever the property is. You just sign with the notary, everything's notarized and witnessed and all that stuff, and then it gets sent back. So we did that, or we were going to do that. So that takes a couple days, 2 or 3 days to get back. So we went ahead and let them know. The closing attorney reached out to schedule the closing, and then he kind of like went dark on us, and we're like, what the heck? And so then we call him, and then he finally answers, and he says, well, hey, I've got a better offer from this other company over here. They offered me $5,000 more than you. They reached out to me last week and called me on the phone and said they'll give me X for the property. And I was like, well, really? Like, we helped you out through all this stuff and like did all these things for you to like get this deal to the finish line. And I put my best offer forward to you. And I said, has this person even come out to see the house yet? And he said, no, they haven't. They haven't come to see it yet. And I said, well, that offer they gave you is not a real offer. If anyone gives you an offer over the phone or online without actually physically seeing your property, walking through your property, that offer is not a real offer. It's just a bait and switch. It's just to get you to sign a contract, and then they're going to come out and look at it. And I can almost guarantee you 9.9 times out of 10, they are going to reduce that offer. I've been in this business long enough. I've seen it happen time and time and time again, where people get roped in by this over the phone offer or this text message offer or this online offer. And it's not a real number. It's just bait and switch advertising to get you to sign a contract. And then they're going to come back and either pull the rug out from under you, or they're going to negotiate that offer back down because they've found X, Y, and Z on repairs, and it's not going to be what they originally thought they could do. We come forward with our best offer the first time. So that's why I try, if at all possible, not to make you an offer until I've actually seen the property or my team has seen the property first, because I want to make you an honest and accurate offer up front. So I don't have to play these games later where we have to negotiate you down. Not to say we don't, we have had to do that sometimes. For instance, we had one the other day where we had to go back and ask for a reduction because during our due diligence period, we determined that this property was in a flood zone. And that means that, it's going to be more difficult for us to sell the property. And our buyers are going to have to get mandatory flood insurance. And also there was some additional pet damage that our contractor discovered when they went over there to look at it. There was basically we're going to have to replace some subfloor and stuff because the pee soaked into the subfloors and ruined the subfloors. We thought it was just on the finished floor, but needless to say, he tries to pull this fast one on me last minute. And I said, whoa. So I called my buddy up and I say, hey, I don't have this, this availability in every situation, right? So I called my buddy, who was his brother, and I said, look, this is what he's doing. He said, okay, hold on. Me and my sister or me and my wife, which was his sister, are going to get him on the phone and talk to him about this, because you guys have like bent over backwards for us and done everything for us in this situation to get this deal to the finish line. This isn't like him just not being reasonable. So he talked to his brother, and then the guy calls me back and says, all right, let's do the deal. And I said, great, you can sign with the notary tomorrow. Call, so-and-so at the attorney's office, and they'll get you connected, and you'll sign with the notary tomorrow. The documents will come back the following day. You'll have the money in your account by the end of the day, 2 days from now, when we get the original documents back. Like, we were ready to go, ready to close. So anyways, we finally got that deal to the finish line, finally closed it. It was like Groundhog Day because he was such a heavy drinker. It was like he had amnesia or something. And I get it. I've been through it personally with a family member. I've seen alcohol addiction and what that can do to people. I understand what they went through with their family, and I understand that, and I get it, and I empathize with them because I've been through it personally. I've seen it happen. So if you've got someone you know that's struggling with alcoholism, you can probably relate to that. It is a difficult journey, and it's a journey. And it doesn't, not everything is resolved overnight. So I wish and I pray that he continues to stay sober. Last I heard, he's still sober. But I hope that he continues to stay sober. So I hope this, video helped you out. Maybe it was entertaining to you. I provide these stories sometimes just to give context to some of the crazy situations that we deal with. I've been doing this for a long time. So if you have a property you need to sell, you can reach out to us at probateresource.com. We make cash offers. We buy properties all over the country. We even buy commercial properties too. Or if you want to go the traditional route, you want to get top dollar for that property, you feel like you want to list it with an agent, kind of the old-fashioned way, we have a fantastic network of real estate agents all over the country who are probate and inheritance specialists. So please reach out to us at probateresource.com to get started. So thanks again. Have a nice day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.